I think it is clear to believe in the power of ideas.
Fresh thinking to the Manhattan Institute.
And now it's my honor to recognize Dick's wife and partner in philanthropy through the J.M. Kaplan Fund, Elizabeth Fonseca. Why don't you come up? Why don't you come up? Betty, why don't you come up? Why don't you come on up? Well, either somebody gets you a microphone or you got to come to this one.
Hello, everybody. I'm just not going to say anything about serious thoughts. I'm just going to remind you, to let you know a little bit what kind of a guy this was. A good one. And a normal one. He wasn't a pompous one, I promise. So I'm just going to, we just wrote a few thoughts down, which I will read. I'm not going to say it off the top.
Try to say with my...
Oh, sorry. Okay. Dick Cornell and I lived together for about 40 years, spending almost every day in each other's company. We undertook some challenging projects, and perhaps none more challenging than the raising of our 7 combined children, who, when we got together, were all already adolescents. Think about that. Okay. 6 of them are here tonight, happily, and each of them, I know, shares my pleasure and gratitude to the Manhattan Institute, and in particular to the program directed by Howard Husock for continuing this amazing project which Dick inspired and for renaming it in his honor. Dick and I shared the kids. We spent 3 years also restoring a decrepit Gothic palazzo in Venice, which we loved and where we lived for half of every year. And in a forgotten field, in Long Island, 20 years ago, we built a house from ground up, kids in the crew, and a mouthful of nails, and poor Dick had a mouthful of nails and fell off the roof and broke his pelvis. Now, that's not fair, is it? I don't think so. Immobilized and in terrible pain, he was condemned to bed for 3 months. But characteristically, he saw this misfortune as a chance to pursue his great passions, reading and spending time with babies, in particularly those among his 12 grandchildren. Dick and his two brothers grew up really poor, with a sense of duty drummed in from the start. His father was a Midwestern stern Presbyterian minister who earned $100 a month in the Depression and gave away $20 to someone in greater need. Although, as Dick said, he liked to joke, they had trouble finding that person. Sorry. Dick and I developed a program within the J.M. Kaplan Fund, and of all our projects, we took particular satisfaction in joining with the Manhattan Institute to support social entrepreneurs, all idealistic people who find imaginative solutions to problems that they know about. Dick had the idea, but Howard and his committee found the people. It is almost painful to single out any of the winners. But because this is really why we're all here, I want to just mention a few that Dick talked about frequently. Let me see where I have them. He admired KIPP, the Knowledge is Power program in San Francisco, and that proved through charter schools that the poorest of students can succeed. And as long ago as 1958, we have to remember that Dick came up then, so long ago, with a way to supply cheap loans for poor college-bound students, and this he achieved for 48,000 students with not a single defaulter among them. And then the government took over. And he cheered for PEP, P-E-P, PEP, the Texas-bound prison entrepreneurship program that enlists all sorts of unlikely people, such as business executives, grammarians, occasional elderly ladies, and help ex-offenders to reintegrate with society with an astonishing 97% rate of re-employment. Pretty damn good, right? He was mightily impressed by Chad Pegrach, an impossible name to say, but he's a young guy who invented a marvelous thing, and that was called the living lands and waters. In other words, he went out, he grew up by the Mississippi River and loved that river so much, and saw all this junk in it and old cans and tar and all that stuff. So he said, we're going to clean this thing up. And so his operation ended up with having thousands of volunteers in the cleanup of some of America's greatest rivers, including the Mississippi. And when some of you who've been coming to these things might remember the time when he got up and accepted his award, and he said, I didn't know that I was a social entrepreneur. I was just cleaning up stuff. And that's what he said. As anyone who knew Dick can tell you, he was one of them, and he was an energetic problem solver with an engagement so passionate that it never occurred to him to seek credit for anything. His modesty would have made him shy about having his name attached to the Social Entrepreneurship Award. But we think the celebration of these resourceful, independent-minded fixers is a perfect memorial for a great man. Howard, and of course our chief, Larry Moan, on behalf of the J.M. Kaplan Fund and all the kids, I thank you.
I think it is clear how fortunate we are to believe in the power of ideas.
Supply the common sense and the fresh thinking of the Manhattan Institute.